Hello, crafters. It has been a month of many firsts. For me, for this channel, and hopefully for you, as one of my viewers and friends on this journey that is Vlogmas. Today, I am going to do my first ever ASMR video. And hopefully, even if you're not someone who experiences tingles, when someone whispers and quietly tries to lull you into a sense of calm, then this video will provide some comfort in these uncertain times. So sit back and relax as I wrap and tell you about my Christmas gifts. Before we get started, I would like to show you today's Advent calendar entry. And today's door number is 6. This is the MoroccanOil Advent calendar that I decided to treat myself with this Yuletide season. And this is the perfect defense for all hair types, and it is a hair protectorant for when you heat your hair. Now you know that I don't usually use a lot of heat on my own head, but occasionally there will be cause for me to curl my hair, and so I believe that this will be very useful when those occasions may strike. I will link everything that I am wrapping today, as well as this beautiful Advent calendar, in the description, because it is a 7-day Advent calendar, which means that you could even start it on Christmas Day and ring in the new year by treating yourself kindly. The things that I'm going to be using today are this very old wrapping paper, which I've had for years now, and you can see there are tears from where I've ripped bits off. There are signs of aging on the corner because it's sat with other paper in the closet for quite a while. I love the print of this pattern. I love the birds and the leaves and the berries. But of course, I love snowflakes most of all. And if we run out of that beloved paper, then I also have this beautiful printed craft paper. And I usually reserve this paper for special occasions. And I suppose that there's no more special an occasion than when we get to interact with each other on YouTube. I also have these relatively comically large tags for my gifts that I believe were free to me some years ago. And if I run out of these tags, then I will use these printed cards that have nothing written inside in order to convey my message to the receivers of these gifts. I especially like this one that has a Victorian image of a dog and children playing with bows. But the butterfly image is beautiful too, with the purple and pink butterflies laid out as though they had been caught and beautifully preserved by someone who really appreciated their beauty. And then finally, I have a silly card that I just found at the bottom of my stationery pile. I don't know where it came from. It may even have been Lawrence's instead of mine, but we might need to use that one as well. Of course, I have some Scotch tape, and I have an extra roll just in case, because there is not a lot left here. And I always pull small strips of about 1 to 2 inches each in order to preserve the tape. And some ribbons, which I will place for this video, but don't be surprised if those ribbons wind up being taken off as soon as this video is over, because Kafka is a very big fan of eating ribbons. So, while I will use them for decorative purposes in this video, they will probably not sit under the tree for his safety and my sanity. Now on to the gifts. And if you are a family member of myself or Lawrence, it is probably best if you stop watching from this point onward, so as not to ruin the surprises. First up is our nephew. And our nephew only just turned 2, so he will be receiving this Elmo and learning how to brush his teeth with it. And because it is made of fabric, it has a plastic covering, which I will keep on the Elmo until he has the pleasure of presumably tearing it off. Next, also for him, is this wonderful set with a dinosaur that is very soft and fuzzy, and a book that will hopefully give him a sense of calm in the evenings when he needs to go to sleep. This is a book that was probably beloved to many of you. It has an ornament inside. But this is not just for any of the children in our family. This is for an unborn relative who will be either a niece or a nephew in the coming year. And hopefully this book will provide many precious Christmas memories to come. And finally, for our nieces, of which we have 2, each of them will get Noel, an Our Generation doll, with a book and many holiday treats and activities. She is made of plastic, but hopefully she will be loved and cherished as though she were real. In coming videos, I hope to be able to make doll dresses and outfits for both of these dolls and for both of our nieces. But for now, they're going to be wrapped and sealed away until our nieces are able to open them. And then maybe they'll have new names and new adventures to share with all of us. So now it's time to get wrapping. And I'm going to start with this paper. Worn as it is, it will still work for at least one gift. I'm going to use the book to weigh down the paper as I work on this side. And while there is a hole from its storage, I do not believe that you can see through the hole enough to realize what the gift inside might be. So we'll use that part, because as you all know, if you've been around here for a while, I do not like when people discard things without thinking very hard about their place first. I always place the gift face down, and then using the wider piece of the paper, I wrap so that at least half of the back is covered. And then I place a piece of tape over the wrapping so that it adheres to whatever is being wrapped, and this does not slide around. Then I carefully take the piece and fold it so that the paper is the correct side up. And then with my scissors, I will cut across gently, trying to maintain a 90-degree angle as I go. Once the cutting is through, then all that remains is wrapping the piece. And so on goes a piece of tape. And then each side is carefully pushed flush against the package until little triangles are formed. If there's a little overhang, then I usually will just tuck it under. And then tape it down. And then the same will go for this side. And because this piece is a little ragged and will probably just get in the way, I'll go ahead and cut that off too. The ragged side is going to be folded under first, so as not to disturb the flow of the pattern on the outside of the package. And while it is not perfect, it is completely wrapped, and any child will have fun tearing through to its contents. Of course, before we start on another one, we need to mark this one so that, as the wrapper, you know whose is whose. And finally, I believe that this particular package needs a pretty red ribbon. And so I carefully wrap one edge and then the other, and cut off the end. And I'm going to have the two ends meet on top so that we can make a little bow. I just have to figure out how to do it first. There's one side, and here's the other. I wish I had a third pair of hands for this, but alas, right now I am alone, as we both go about our daily Vlogmas making. Going to make a little bow. And then with the scissors, be very careful. I'll take the end and give it a little twirl. And that's the first package complete and ready to be sent across the pond. Next up is Elmo. Elmo's going to have to use this extra paper in a different way than usual. But that's okay. It all needs to be used. And so this is how I'm going to do this one. I'm going to start with the long section toward the end of the paper. And then I'm going to tape it like I did the other package to the bottom this time, and flip it this way. And no, there isn't quite enough paper on the bottom, but we won't let that stop us. Instead, I'll tape it right here. Wrap the rest of it the same way as before, making little triangles on the sides and doing the best I can with an irregular shape. Because the sides are so long, we'll need 2 pieces of tape, one on either side. And the paper will just overlap on this side, which is good news because it means we'll only just have to adjust the very bottom. And so for the bottom, because it doesn't say what this is, I could even just leave it as is. But we have all of this paper. And so I think I'll pad the bottom with a little brown paper before I use it for the other gifts. I'll need to figure out how much paper I need and then adjust accordingly. I've made markings and now I'm going to cut it so that I have just enough to be able to cover the back. And again, our book is going to serve to keep the paper open as I work. Most of you know that I'm left-handed, but when I was a young girl living in rural Indiana, my teachers still believed that left-handedness was not indeed the virtue that it is, and tried for the first 2 years of my life to get me to be right-handed, and so I learned to cut and to write with my right hand before anyone realized that I should be left-handed, which makes me a little bit ambidextrous. So now I'm going to take the paper and I'm just going to fit it to the part that's not covered. And even though these 2 patterns clash, I hope that the homespun nature of this patch can be forgiven because, after all, most of the package is the same pattern, and it's only just on the very bottom where the patch is noted. I am, of course, not a professional when it comes to things like gift wrapping. And so you'll have to forgive the more crude examples that I give you today. But hopefully, it will make you feel a little less self-conscious about your own wrapping abilities and encourage you to wrap up the gifts that you would like to give to the ones you love without fear of judgment. And there it is, my patchwork paper over Elmo. I think I'm going to skip the bow on this one since it already looks very distinct as is. And I'm going to put the tag toward the top so as to distract from the less than perfect bottom. Now I think it's time to wrap one of the dear dolls for our nieces. The shape is not at all irregular, but the paper, of course, is at this point. So what I'm going to do is cut off the extra piece and hopefully save it for another project and another day. Here is the first one. And she's going to go like this, just as we did for the first package. I just love the pattern and the crispness of the paper. This is some of my favorite paper that I've ever bought. I've had it for years, and I've been saving it for just such an occasion as this. Of course, I have used it for patterns in the past that I wanted to preserve as well. And despite my crude cutting, no one will notice because this is the back of the box. Thankfully as well, children, in my professional opinion, always tend to be more forgiving than their parents of such silliness as a zigzag cut down pink paper. I am very lucky not to have any irregular gifts to wrap this year. But when I do have irregular gifts, I like to wrap them using the bag method. And if you are so interested as to want to learn how to use the bag method to wrap an irregular gift, then be sure to let me know in the comments. That is, if you're not already asleep at this point in the process. And now that she is wrapped, our doll can get a beautiful gift tag. And I think for this one, I will use one of our beautiful butterflies. I think this card just goes so sweetly with the butterfly pattern and the colors. I think for just a little bit of contrast, we'll add a light blue ribbon. There's one side. And the other. So many ribbons everywhere now. But we only need one. I very much like this pretty blue against the pink and brown. This time, let's see if I can get this bow correct on the first try, despite only having one set of fingers on the bow itself. That seems sturdy to me. Now let's tie it. It was a good try. Let's try a second time. Maybe with rabbit ears. I used to teach kindergartners and first graders who hadn't yet learned how to tie their shoes using rabbit ears during our playtimes and during our club time and lunch time when I was a performing arts teacher. I have fond memories of helping those children to reach those milestones. Now I'm going to adjust the ribbon ever so slightly and give it a curl. This time the curl should be cuter since it's a little bit longer than the other one was. And there we have it. Cute little bow. Fit for a girl or a boy or anyone in between, and their doll wrapped for the holiday. Of course, we still have one more of those to do before we can finally wrap the book, its use being complete. And here is the other doll, ready and waiting patiently to go to its new home, where it will hopefully be well loved and cared for by one of my little nieces. share with me in the comments below what one gift you are most excited to give to your loved ones. Are you making it? Are you buying it? Is it new or gently used? And what makes it a perfect gift in your opinion? Please tell me in the comments below. I love to see so many beautiful gifts underneath the tree. This year, I hope that I'll be able to ship them to everyone, but usually, of course, they're given in person. I hope that there aren't too many shipping troubles. I hope that there aren't too many shipping troubles, but I have heard that it may be a problem. And so if it is, then these dollies and the dinosaur and Elmo will just have to wait patiently under my own tree until next year when there's a vaccine. Another butterfly for another niece. Looks like we are getting to the end of the wrapping paper, but we only have one gift left. So this might be just perfect. Maybe a dark blue ribbon for this one, since it's already out and ready. And there's one end. And the other. I think I favored the lighter blue better, but this is still a nice color. The key is to adjust the ribbon so that it only just hugs each of the outside corners. Sometimes it's good to put a piece of tape on the back, but so far today, I seem to have lucked out. Will I make it on the first try? I'd say third time's the charm, but I guess we'll find out in just a moment. I do believe I was able to do it. A pretty bow for a lovely niece. And some curly cues. Just one gift left. The only trouble is I don't know who to send it to, since they have not graced us with their appearance in this world yet. Thankfully, the book is quite thin, so we should have just enough paper left here before I run out completely. Of course, since it is a book, then I don't tape it to the cover. I just do my very best with each of the ends. In Iceland, it's tradition to give books on Christmas Eve. We were having a discussion about it, thanks to one of you lovely crafters, Angela, in the Discord server. If you haven't become a member of the Discord server yet, then I encourage you to join. I enjoy hanging out there with my fellow crafters and talking about vintage and historic things, and making things and baking things. And I will, of course, link to our server below should you wish to attend. We also have the wonderful Carrie, who is a volunteer for the server, and she makes sure that everyone is happy and safe and able to contribute to the discussion. And so you can always reach out to herself or myself or Lawrence should you have any questions about how to use our wonderful Discord community. Now I'm almost done. And all of our gift wrapping for this year, as little as it is complete. I hope that these can grace the Christmas trees of family members, but if they can't, they'll look lovely under our own tree today until Christmas. I think that this deserves my little Victorian card. Since I don't know who to make this out to, I think I'll just say, welcome to the world. Love, your uncle and And all that's left is to tape it on. And that's all. All of our gifts are officially wrapped. And I want to, of course, invite you once again to our Discord server, linked below. And I would also remind you to go to the comments right now and tell me what your favorite gift that you'll be giving a loved one this year is and why. See you tomorrow for another Vlogmas video.